let's talk the Jets and how their offense actually looks when you go under the hood with Trevor Sikkema from PFF. How are you, Trevor?
Andrew, I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Because the numbers suggest that the defense is just fine. They've given up 29 points in the last 3 weeks, something like that. Offensively, however, we laid them out earlier, and I was cherry-picking stats, to be fair. They are 2-3, as they were last year, 2-3 with Zach Wilson. Completion percentage, pretty much the same. Passer rating in the same neighborhood. Now, Rodgers is throwing for roughly 30-something yards more per game than Zach Wilson did. And look, Aaron Rodgers is operating this offense better than Zach Wilson did. However, the results are similar. What are the PFF numbers telling us?
Yeah, I think specifically when you look at this offense, and that's been the topic of conversation ever since the news came out about Robert Saleh, is like, okay, how does this fix the offense? Like, how does this make things any different? And you wonder if it's just because, was there something going on behind the scenes with how the locker room was coming out and playing these games that was just putting them behind the 8 ball before the game even started? Because when you talk about some PFF numbers and we're able to sort of contextualize, like, okay, we can look at different things. We can not only look at like red zones and third downs, but also we could break things up into quarters and halves and see how teams are playing like throughout the game. You know, we talk about all those opening scripts with drives, how it's supposed to look easy. The Minnesota Vikings, a team they just played, make it look pretty easy. And when you look at the Jets specifically, first quarter stats, my co-host on the PFF NFL show, Dalton Wasserman, found these numbers. When it comes to first quarter PFF grade on offense, they're dead last in the NFL. They're also 30th on first drives of any sort of situation on offense. First 15 plays, the scripted plays, right? All right, maybe even if you go 3 and out, you still got some scripted plays on the next drive, whatever. First 15 plays, dead last PFF offensive
That's absurd.
grade. And then the first play of every single drive as well. They are 29th in PFF grade. How they are starting games, how they are starting drives, how they are coming out of the locker room and supposedly supposed to set the tone on the offensive side of the ball, it's horrendous. It puts them behind the 8 ball before it even goes. And so I just think that that is a major, major issue of this offense, that if you want to say, okay, how does firing Robert Saleh change anything on this team? Perhaps there was a lack of juice. Perhaps that is maybe the reason why you move on from him, because the vibes weren't great. You know, you don't want to make multi-million-dollar decisions off of just vibes, but sometimes we talk about, you know, losing the locker room and not having these guys energized, not having them ready, and penalties are sometimes a way that we can look at that. But how you start out of the gate, first quarter, I mean, we're 5 weeks into the season. This is a decent enough sample size to where the Jets are almost dead last in every single offensive situation when it comes to starting. They're just starting way too slow.
That's fascinating. Honestly, I did not expect that. Trevor Sikkema here from PFF. I'll compare it real quick to the Browns. I obviously, for those who don't know, do Browns games, and their offensive numbers are not good, not sugarcoating anything. However, they have been good out of the gate. Last week was the first week on which they did not have points on an opening drive. 2 weeks ago in Vegas, they had a 15-play opening drive, touchdown drive that took 9.5 minutes off the clock. The week before that, they had a one-play, 24-yard touchdown drive. One play right out of the gate. Bam, explosive touchdown. So they have opened well. You're telling me the Jets have not. What about their offensive line numbers? What do they say, Trevor?
Well, the offensive line it has not been good enough as a group. And specifically, I look at how they're performing in the run game, because this is a team that, although all the talk is about Aaron Rodgers, they want to stay balanced. It's not like they've got 4 all-pro guys that they want to throw to. They've got some guys that they like, obviously with Garrett Wilson at the top, but they want to be a balanced football team. Breece Hall, they feel, is an all-pro talent and one of the best 5 backs in the NFL. So they want to get him going. We're 5 games into the season, and 3 out of the 5 games in which Breece Hall has played, he is averaging negative yards before contact. The offensive line just cannot block for this dude. So I don't really know what you want at this point. In fact, the season high for a single game performance for Breece Hall when it comes to yards before contact is 0.4. It's not even 1 yard per attempt.
That's nuts.
So, right. And that's why it's like they got good guys on the team, but 2 areas that are really struggling: how they are as an offense out of the gate, and then what they are as an offensive line, specifically when blocking for Breece Hall, because there have been a couple performances where Braylon Allen, he's been able to get it going. He's had a little bit better blocking. You normally get like, okay, 2, maybe 3 if you're great, yards before contact, and Braylon Allen's had that at times. it hasn't existed at all for Breece Hall. Every single yard that he has this season, he has had to earn himself after contact. Those aren't the kind of numbers that you want. So, obviously we're all talking about the passing game and everything like that. But part of why this team is so slow out of the gate is because they do want to establish the run at the beginning, and they absolutely cannot do that right now. Their offensive line is not blocking well enough as a unit. So those two areas for the Jets are big areas that, Robert Saleh or not, have to get better. This team is not going to get where they want to go.
All right, let's get to the Patriots here. Speaking of offensive line, hey, Bowie, can we take Brockman's shirt? Can we show Chris Brockman's shirt? Patriot fan number one over here. He's got the, what does it say again?
Made for New England.
For
Trevor,
New England.
it's go time. Talk to me.
Trevor, does the Patriots O-line give Drake Maye any chance this week? Or is it that
the O-line themselves, I'd be a little skeptical of. Now, to be fair, Maye has played behind not great situations before. When you look at UNC's offensive lines, the 2 years in which he was a starter, not like they were great either. He was pressured consistently. He was running all over the place. He had to deal with pressure, navigate a pressured and muddy pocket. So it's not like he was playing behind five-star offensive linemen in college, and now he's coming to a completely different situation. We've seen that be the case with college quarterbacks before. And so Maye at least has some experience playing behind an offensive line that, okay, maybe isn't the best. The Patriots, though, maybe it isn't the best, would probably be like the best compliment that we have for this team, right? Like if we were able to say that about the Patriots against the Texans this upcoming week,
How bad
I think that
is it?
It's so the numbers that we have indicate that it's pretty bad. 83 pressures allowed this season. That's tied for the second most in the NFL. 48.5 PFF pass blocking grade. That's the third worst in the NFL. So it's not dead last in those categories, but it's not where you love to be with a rookie quarterback going out there for his first start. Specifically, I think of the matchup that they have, right? You're going up against Danielle Hunter. You're going up against Will Anderson Jr. Your offensive tackles have to play incredibly well against those guys. And we know that DeMeco Ryans likes to be creative in how he's able to create those pressures as well. So those are the numbers that we have. Anybody who's been watching Patriots games didn't even need the numbers really to justify that. But this matchup specifically is also a really tough one because Anderson and Danielle Hunter are two guys who have a good amount of pressure so far this season.
Yep, it is a tough one, but it is one that I think we all saw coming. I said in August after one of those Drake Maye preseason appearances, I've seen enough, give him the job, but you look at the schedule, who they had to face the first month of the year, whether it would be the Niners and the Seahawks, Mike McDonald, whether it's the Jets and Robert Saleh, just give it a month, wait until October. There's a stretch then. And here it is. The offensive line is bad, but we're doing the go ahead, kid, run around a little bit and make some plays thing and hope you don't get killed. It'll be more fun. And maybe there's a chance at a play here or there. Right?
Yeah. Trevor, I'm also a Pats fan, but can I just provide just a little bit of pushback? Like Jacoby Brissett was an iron deer back there. He's not making any plays with his feet. He doesn't have the arm strength or the vision to push the ball downfield. Drake Maye can do both of those things. Like, is there a situation here or a scenario where he actually helps the offensive line out with those skills that he possesses?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have gone to Drake Maye. I mean, again, it's a tough matchup, but it's going to be a tough matchup basically the entire year, right? I think the Patriots' schedule gets pretty favorable over the next couple of games for them to be able to start him and have a little bit of success. But yeah, I'm not really arguing with you shouldn't be going with Drake Maye. You got to play this guy eventually. Now, unless you said to yourself, the offensive line's terrible, we're not going to play him all year long, which I think would probably be detrimental to your investment anyways. It was going to have to happen. And there's not many matchups that you have in the National Football League where you go, oh yeah, this is great. This is perfect scenario to start a rookie quarterback, because perfect doesn't exist. So what you are saying is correct. And to Andrew's point, we saw that in the preseason. We saw Drake Maye give them the juice and be willing to push the ball deep down the field. And if he can make some quick decisions, if he can threat things vertically, anytime you're able to do that, you can get the defense to back off a little bit. But to me, that's what's going to be important. They got to get Ramondre Stevenson going. I know it's tale as old as time from every coach. They tell you to establish the run, but they do have to do that because they can't let these pass rushers just tee off on him the entire game. And then specifically, if Maye can hit one or two of these deep shots in the first half of this game, well, all of a sudden then you might have to think about him differently. Maybe the Texans say, okay, we can't play as aggressive in the second half. Maybe it becomes less of a dire environment for him for the entire game as we see it. So I'm not arguing that you shouldn't start him. Maybe this matchup specifically is a tough one, but you have to get him in there eventually. You've got to see what you've got. And like you said, he brings a higher ceiling than Jacoby Brissett does. So it was only a matter of time, and this is when they're doing it.
Yeah, I was also Googling iron deer here. I guess people buy those things.
Yeah.
You can actually buy an iron deer.
The idea is that they don't move.
Right? No, I get it. But Trevor, have you ever heard of iron? I thought it was a beer, like iron deer.
Haven't.
I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That
up.
was one that
I mean,
I was just gonna roll with the punches
You're
with
from
it and be like,
Maine,
feel free to take it. Feel free to take it.
Iron deer beer.
Also, you get his feet wet a little bit against Houston, and
Yes.
like next week, Jacksonville, not exactly
In
the
London.
greatest defense in the world. You know?
All right. I'm going to ask you about PFF Premium real quick here. But Trevor, we also get a fascinating game this week in Baltimore. You get the Commanders and the Ravens. I saw the Commanders up close last week. Jayden Daniels is so the real deal. Now, I am waiting for there is historically Cliff Kingsbury offenses, a little bit different second half of the season performance than we've seen in the first half, but this offense is different. It's 12, it's 13 personnel. It's based on the run, not just spread them out and throw it 50 times a game. This feels different and this feels real. The play that Jayden made where he's flushed out and he hit Terry McLaurin on the run downfield, I mean, that is as pretty a throw and as accurate a throw on the run as you will see, period, anywhere, all season long. Now, Lamar had that crazy play, too, against the Bengals last week, which might be the best play I've ever seen. Anyway, that aside, as we're short on time, Trevor, of all the amazing Washington numbers you have seen from this offense so far, what is your favorite stat on the Commanders' early season offensive performance?
Well, it's a great transition into what you just mentioned. It's one of those plays where he's rolling out, and it's the scramble plays from Jayden Daniels. Because going through as a draft guy, I watched a lot of Jayden Daniels over the last 2 years, and I heard people once draft season rolled around talk about, Jayden, he's this mobile quarterback. He's going to be great with escaping the pocket and throwing on the run. And I went, whoa, not necessarily. When you look at Jayden Daniels' numbers from last year, Heisman Trophy winning year, talk about the player that he is right now. If you just turn back the clock a little bit, Andrew, he had 15 total passing attempts when scrambling last year. He just didn't do it. When he got out of the pocket to escape, it was simply to run. He wasn't keeping his eyes down the field. That was not a portion of his game where you had to have him as a threat. Already 5 weeks into the season, he is showing that he is now willing to do that, especially over the last 3 weeks where he has been excellent. 95.7 PFF grade when scrambling and getting out of the pocket. He is keeping his eyes downfield, and he is killing defenses. Now, specifically for this matchup, it's a really interesting point because the Ravens have given up the second most passing plays of 15 yards or more to quarterbacks when they are scrambling. And so that sort of plays into Jayden Daniels' hand once again. He has 16 first downs when scrambling, both as a rusher and a passer. That's the most in the NFL. He has an 87.1 scrambling grade through 5 weeks of the season. That is number one in the NFL. So what Jayden Daniels is a scrambling, passing quarterback is even different and elevated from what we saw as a Heisman Trophy winner last year, and something that the Ravens defense really have to focus on because so far through this season, they have given up a lot of big plays to quarterbacks once they get out of the pocket.
Yeah, sign me up for this one. This is one of those games you're like, yeah, I'd buy a ticket. Yeah, I want to be there. Ravens and the Commanders this week, and it's also nice having grown up there in Northern Virginia to see two teams actually doing well where the fan bases can get into it. Like that hasn't happened. Right? That is kind of cool, I think, for the region. Also cool, PFF Premium. Trevor, tell us about it, please.
PFF Plus, it's got all the different premium stats.
My fault.
No. Yeah, you're all good. It's got all the premium stats that you guys have heard me kind of rattle off and just so much more. And a really cool thing that we're doing this season is we're opening up in-game grading. So as you are watching games, you can see the PFF grades flow in live. There's a bit of a delay.
Are you guys doing this with beer? Because in-game PFF grading with a cocktail, that's fun.
That might have to be the PFF plus subscription. That might be an untapped market, actually, right?
Untapped,
there.
literally, like there you go.
Hey-o.
Workshop this.
But yeah, no, it's been really cool to watch. You could check out all the grades as they're kind of flowing in. There's about a 10-15 minute delay, so it's not like as the play is happening, but the grades will flow in. It's a cool way to just keep up with the game as it's going on. You can see it if you got a PFF subscription over at PFF.com.
Beautiful. I am in my PFF right now. Premium.
Same.
At PFF.com. I am here right now. Regular user. I am there daily. Also cool. Like I look at all my film. It's fun. It's so easy. I want to look at, every play that Drake Maye got sacked on in the preseason because the O-line looked bad. I could look at all of that right now. Trevor Sikkema, we don't have time for the quarterbacks here for next season. We'll do that next time. I promise. Go to PFF.com. Appreciate you, man. Love the gaming headset as well. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Anytime.
Trevor Sikkema, everybody.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.